Have you ever wondered what it sounds like in the mind of someone with autism? So, a lot of people have a huge misconception when it comes to neurodivergence, in that they think that the minds of someone with kind of a neurodivergent brain would sound very unusual or like very different from their own. But typically, the minds of people with neurodivergence or even personality disorders make a lot of sense. And so I wanted to offer some thought patterns that are common to individuals with ASD, and with the caveat that everyone presents differently. And certain individuals will really have high masking, so they'll have more of a thought pattern around monitoring their masking. And I don't want to stereotype anyone, but I think it's also helpful to understand some of the patterns that go through the mind of individuals that have ASD and what that sounds like in their mind, so that neurotypical individuals can better understand it, and maybe individuals that might have ASD might kind of understand that this is what it sounds like. It's quite nuanced. It doesn't sound like your mind is, screaming like, I have rigidity and, like, I don't understand social interactions, because that's often how it's depicted in movies and, on apps and social media and stuff like that. And so most things that are related to the mind don't sound like that. Like, they're not that stereotypical. So there are some patterns though, right? So with ASD, we typically see some type of sensory sensitivities. And so that could just look like, like, why are people wearing so much perfume? Like, is anyone else smelling this? Like, this is really strong. Or it could look like, why is this light so bright? Like, who made these lights? Like, why are other people not bothered by this? Like, this is like, I can't even focus. Like, I can't like even like be in this room, right? So it's like just that sensory sensitivity, and like, it's a hypersensitivity, but in the mind of someone who has the hypersensitivity, it makes sense because they feel the pain of the hypersensitivity. So I'm someone that has the smell sensitivity, right? I'm not saying I have any neurodivergence, but I typically have this issue where I'm like, is anyone smelling this perfume? Like, who put on this perfume? This is so strong. And like, literally no one else will be smelling it. And so another kind of thought pattern we see with ASD is this overanalysis of a social interaction. Just because the mind processes social rules in a different way, it makes it just harder to process. So it typically looks like, wait, was that a joke? Am I supposed to laugh here? That wasn't actually funny, but other people are laughing, so should I laugh? Like, what's going on here? It can even look like kind of a hyper awareness of your physical state. So it's like sometimes like your facial expression, it can be like, oh, okay, remember to smile because people like that. Remember to make eye contact because that's what you're supposed to do because someone's making eye contact with me. Okay, wait, let's check in. Like, how is our face? Is our face neutral right now? Okay, like, then we need to smile a little bit, because if it's just neutral all the time, people don't like that. Like, that's not quote unquote normal. So this is kind of just like the type of like masking social rules and just like trying to interpret social rules that sometimes happens in thought patterns with individuals with ASD. And again, with the caveat that I'm just pulling this from self-reports and research accounts. So everyone presents a little bit differently. So if this is not how you experience it, I'm sorry for not including your experience. And please feel free to comment below to kind of educate us on what that's like. Again, another thought pattern we have is monotropism, which is kind of a hyperfocus on certain topics. And that can look like kind of like a creeping doubt of like, wait, are other people interested in this? And also kind of coupled with like, this is like amazing. Like, this is like the most interesting thing I've ever heard, and just wanting to know more and more and more. But then also having that like metacognition where it's like, okay, if I keep talking about this, am I going to lose people? Because I feel like they might get bored, but at the same time, I think it's really interesting. So having those like competing thoughts is very common. And again, like we talked a little bit about masking, so that's a lot of kind of self-narration of what you're doing. So kind of like make sure to like, lean in and make sure like you sound interested, because that's what, that's the thing that we should be doing when it comes to social interactions. And make sure to monitor your facial expression, because you don't want to just sit there and look like, like upset, because then people will like wonder why you look like that, all of these types of things. Another common thought pattern that happens with ASD is that we have something called the shutdown. That's when there's a sensory, emotional, social overload. And so it's kind of this like, kind of your mind screaming at you like, oh my gosh, like I can't handle it anymore. I need to like go somewhere quiet. Like I need to just like decompress for a little bit. And it's just like this like almost like switch that happens where it's like, can't handle it anymore, like need to go, can't can't mask anymore, ran out of energy, like time to kind of go into my little cave and feel better, right? Like feel like re-regulate the sensory issues and the kind of the emotional dysregulation, because it's actually like a real dysregulation. Like this is a lot of these sensory stimuli are actually quite painful, and so it objectively, like the mind objectively gets overstimulated. It's not like a subjective thing. And so another thing that is a common thought pattern with individuals with ASD is this kind of need for alone time. Like, oh, I really like alone time, like finally my space. Like maybe some thoughts kind of centering around like how nice it is to have some space by yourself, or having a particular space that feels calming and safe. And obviously this is very normal to all humans, but maybe the thought pattern is kind of just more present with individuals with ASD, where it's like more important to have that space for obvious reasons, because the hypersensitivity like to stimuli is just really intense. And research actually indicates that individuals with ASD, like this is objectively more painful to their brain. Like this isn't like a subjective thing. Like it's like, certain stimuli is almost like nails on a chalkboard to the neurotypical. And so it's kind of like if you were walking around all day experiencing like literally the like worst stimuli that you can imagine, that are the most annoying to you and like the most psychologically painful, then you can kind of imagine what it's like, because then at the end of the day you would want to go into your safe space and like be like sensory deprived, because like you've just been so overstimulated. And that's kind of like what it feels like. So if you've ever wondered like what does it feel like in the mind of someone with ASD, like it doesn't feel like like you're neurodivergent. Like it doesn't necessarily feel like you're this unique kind of way of thinking or anything like that. It feels normal, right? Like, so when you experience neurodivergence, or when you experience oftentimes like a personality disorder, you feel like this is the way people think. Like this is like this is the way I think. So like it doesn't feel strange to the individual experiencing it, especially if you're someone that's kind of low on the autism spectrum, and especially if you were to get it diagnosed as an adult, and especially if you're high masking. So a lot of individuals will only get diagnosed when they realize how high masking they are. And the thing about masking is that it spends a lot of energy. Like, so typically what it will feel like is like you spent all of this time processing all of this like social information, how you should hold your face, what tone you should use, whether you should laugh at that joke. And then at the end of the night, you're just like exhausted, like depleted, like no one talk to me right now. And if you kind of experience that might be other things, but that also could be indicative of ASD. So obviously this is not a comprehensive diagnosis in any way, but hopefully that helps kind of illuminate what it's like to have this type of neurodivergence, so that we can gain kind of more empathy for individuals who do experience this, because just because their kind of sensory stimulation is different than the neurotypical doesn't mean that it feels different to them. It feels just like it feels like to you. Like the human brain is the human brain. And so hopefully that helps you understand. And please comment below for anything I said wrong.